Trustee Wong will not be available for our regularly scheduled board meeting, so he will be presenting a resolution that he has been working on diligently. And I know there's folks from the community that are here to speak for his resolution. So I am going to turn it over to Trustee Wong. And I know we have a substantial public comment for this item, so I'm going to let Trustee Wong introduce the resolution, and then colleagues, if I could, go to public comment and then board deliberation. So Trustee Wong, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Kick us off.
I'll begin in Cantonese for a little bit. 大家好，我係黃少倫，三藩市市立大學嘅校董。今日我喺度，因為我想保護我哋現有嘅廣東話課程，俾新一代學生去學廣東話。好不幸呢個學期我哋個學校爭啲取消我哋僅有2個廣東話課程，因為我哋個學校認為呢啲課程冇價值。現時我哋個學校唔將我哋啲廣東話課程轉去其他大學，亦唔為呢啲廣東話課程發認可嘅中文證書。So I just highlighted the kind of main issue in Cantonese. So firstly, thank you people from the community for joining. I'm Alan Wong, and my parents are both from Hong Kong, and they're Cantonese speaking. So this resolution is especially important to me. I heard from the community about how important these Cantonese classes are to the Chinese community here, especially the immigrant monolingual community that is desperately in need of resources. And that's why over the past several months, I've been working with community members, nonprofits, city college folks to move forward with this resolution in a comprehensive and thoughtful manner that engages multiple stakeholders. The problem that we have is during the past few years, our Cantonese program has been at risk of losing our classes because the college is prioritizing classes that lead towards certificates and degrees. Understandably, given that we want to have student outcomes, and also part of how we're funded is getting student outcomes. Since fall 2019, our Cantonese classes have all been over 100% full. They've been full beyond capacity. This past fall 2021 semester, our 2 Cantonese classes were filled at 152% and 120%. And this spring, our Cantonese class already has a full wait list. So the classes are high in demand, and rightfully so. Just to share a personal story about why this is so important to me. One time when I was at St. Luke's Hospital, I was just a visitor, just walking around, and then this Chinese grandmother with a big purple eye flagged me down. And she asked for my help because there was nobody that could talk to her at the hospital. And she shared her story. She told me that she was taking the 15 bus earlier in the day, and then somebody just punched her in the eye for no reason, and then shoved her out of the bus door. When police officers arrived, they could not communicate with her and could not help her. And then when she went to the hospital, none of the hospital staff were able to communicate with her. So she asked me, a random Chinese guy that was at the hospital, to help her interpret. So for me, ensuring that we have a strong and robust Cantonese program is not just about protecting Chinese culture, language, and history, but also ensuring that we can train and support the next generation of public safety, healthcare, and social workers to serve our community. After some review of other programs at other colleges, such as the Sacramento City College and the College of Alameda, what we found is their Cantonese programs are UC transferable, but ours are not. And also, we have 8 other languages at City College that do have certificate programs, but the Cantonese program does not. So for me, not having a Cantonese program or possibly losing our classes, what that means to me is not allowing the Chinese community to be able to communicate, not allowing them to be able to get public services. And so this is so important. And the data supports this. According to the Office of Civic Engagement and Immigrant Affairs that enforces the language access ordinance of the city, 44% of the non-English speakers that contacted city departments were Cantonese speaking, the highest number. According to SFPD data, they had to do 9,000 interpretation services in 2020 for languages. And 2/3 of them were done through an app. So, imagine if a police officer comes after you've been victimized by a crime and they're trying to take your report, and you can't speak to them and you can't communicate, and they pull out an app and you're trying to tell them, hey, I live at Yatlokoi, which means sunset, and the interpreter who is from elsewhere in the country doesn't know what that means. Domestic violence, according to the city's 911, it's the second most requested language after Spanish. And for Asian victims, according to the domestic violence hotline, it's the biggest barrier for help seeking for Asian victims. For me, I'm proposing a very practical and simple solution, and it's to get our Cantonese classes to be a certificate program, to lead towards the language requirement for UCs. At UC Berkeley, they have a Cantonese, they have a Chinese program that is mostly Mandarin, but the Cantonese classes are a part of that. So, I'm just thinking about potential ideas that could be sorted out once this is looked into and developed further. But our Cantonese classes could be potentially part of the larger Chinese program that we have, which is Mandarin. Or we also have Cantonese childcare classes. So potentially looking into how there could be synergy for some sort of career development certificate, or a interpreter program supporting development of interpreters. So there are many other Chinese programs across the country, and when they do have Cantonese classes, they've been able to insert them to be a part of a program. And so making these classes transferable to UC, supporting a certificate that counts towards the state's measurements for student outcomes will help us ensure that our Cantonese classes are valued just like any of the other languages. It doesn't make sense for us to be not valuing these classes in terms of certificates and degree transfer, given the large population of Chinese in San Francisco. The other thing that this resolution would do is it would disambiguate data. Oftentimes, APIs are lumped together in one group, and that prevents us from really not looking at the differences in terms of the language or ethnicities, prevents us from really looking at the educational attainment levels, the socioeconomic status, and other factors that may make different groups that are lumped together or different. So what this resolution would also do is get our college to start actually not just tracking Chinese like many other places do, they just kind of mix Cantonese and Mandarin together, but to disaggregate that data and have that available so that we can appropriately figure out, okay, what is the need? So, I also want to thank the Chancellor for working with me on this resolution to make sure that we're meeting our accreditation requirements and making sure that we're meeting the expectations of the state in terms of how we work together with faculty and the Academic Senate to accomplish this, and also for Academic Senate President Simon Hansen for providing feedback as I've been kind of moving along with this resolution. Also want to thank many of the different organizations that have stepped up and communicated with the College Board that they are strongly in support of this resolution. There's been over 30 plus organizations that have told us and sent letters to the Board of Trustees stating that this is so important to their community to ensure that our immigrant Chinese community has access to public safety, social, and healthcare resources. To conclude, San Francisco is the Chinese capital of America. We have outside of China, we have the densest Cantonese speaking population in the world. And if we don't have this program here, then we're not going to have it anywhere. Cantonese is the backbone of so many in the Chinese community, and without having appropriate bilingual public safety staff, firefighters, police officers, social workers, healthcare workers, as demonstrated in my own personal experience, then these communities, the Chinese community, would be isolated. And for me, this would lead to literally the erasure of an entire community. And this is why it's so important to me, and this is why I'm pushing this resolution. So I want to thank you to also my co-sponsors. I would like to thank Trustee Brigette Davila and Trustee Thea Selby for being co-sponsors of this proposal. And I will leave it up to public comment now.
All right, so Trustee Wong, I'm actually going to allow for the co-sponsor that's here to speak. So Trustee Davila is a co-sponsor. So
yes, I'll just say really quickly, because I know we're short on time, that I know that Trustee Wong has done a lot of work on this, and I agreed to co-sponsor it after talking to colleagues in the College of Ethnic Studies, and I found out that they were considering offering Cantonese classes also that would make these transferable if they went into an ethnic studies program. So I'm hoping that you will agree to this resolution. It's pretty gentle in its goals. It's encouraging and trying to find a way to support Cantonese. It's not a lost or dead language. And what I didn't know from Trustee Wong, speaking with Trustee Wong, was how many people actually still speak Cantonese. And I actually didn't know that until I read, the library had this program a while ago where they have, San Francisco Reads, and it was China Boy. And that's when I learned that not only is Cantonese one of the Southern China languages, but there's a whole bunch of others, but Cantonese is the common language that ties all those people together. So I think it's important that we find ways to offer it, especially with the possibility that the UCs might accept that and the precedent that it's happened at other schools, and that we can work with San Francisco State to also accept those transfer classes too.
Thank you so much, Trustee Davila. I do notice that Vice President Temprano has his hand raised. Vice President Temprano?
Sure. Well, I just wanted to thank Trustee Wong for his leadership on this. I think, for all the reasons he has said perfectly, City College needs to be responsive to the needs of our community, and it is quite clear that our community needs access to Cantonese courses at City College, and that we ought to be making those courses transferable in the way that other institutions are. This is just, I think a fantastic resolution. I would also really like to thank everyone who's been advocating for increased access to Cantonese courses at City College, in particular, our own students who have been asking for us to not just retain, but expand the Cantonese offerings at the college. And with that, I would love, I don't know if our board rules allow, but I would love to also be added as a co-sponsor to this resolution.
Yes, Vice President Temprano, I thought that was going to be your comment. So I would like to, if there's any board members who would like to be added as co-sponsor, you can raise your hand if you're in the room. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. And if you're online, you can just put it in the chat. So I believe that we have myself, everyone here, myself, Trustee Chisty, Student Trustee Villalobos and Vice President Temprano would like to be, I saw you, Vice President Temprano, as well, would like to be added as co-sponsors. So we will all be added on. And with that, I do want to alert all of us that we do have KTVU. Channel 2 is joining us for all of our attendees, as well for the trustees and our chancellor. Welcome to KTVU Channel 2. And for public comment, given the limitations we have on time, we are limiting public comment to 1 minute per commenter, and we typically, when there's a lot of public comment, we limit at 30 minutes. So with that, I will turn it over to Sean, to Linda, to Grace to help to manage our public comment for today, but just want to give a really big thank you to everyone who's come out today to support and speak to this resolution. So Sean.
Thank you, President Williams. This is Linda. I just wanted, before we start, I wanted to let you know that a number of people who are not available to attend submitted recordings. So after the meeting is concluded and those people who are unable to speak, we will forward their recordings to you so the entire board can hear those comments.
Thank you so much, Linda.
You're welcome. So first off is Brett Locke.
Linda, I do not see Brett on right now.
Okay, Sophie Pearson.
I do see Sophie.
Thank you.
Neho, my name is Sophie Pearson. I'm a current student at CCSF and have lived in San Francisco for almost 11 years. I'm a member and supporter of the movement to save Cantonese at CCSF, and I urge you to pass the resolution to support the establishment of higher education Cantonese programs. I've taken 4 semesters of Cantonese courses at CCSF, and I would have signed up for Chinese 10D had it been offered. Unlike many of my classmates, now friends, I do not have a direct familial relationship to Cantonese. However, I signed up for classes to learn because I wanted to be able to speak with residents across the city. I feel privileged to live in a city like San Francisco with so many cultures represented and a true appreciation for diversity. It's incredibly important that CCSF establish a higher education Cantonese program. Chinese immigrants from the Cantonese speaking parts of China have been immigrating to San Francisco since the middle of the 19th century. And in particular, in this era of rising AAPI hate, I believe it's our responsibility to continue supporting the Cantonese culture.
Thank you. And Sean, Brett said he's online. Can you look for him again?
I see him now.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Brett.
Thank you.
Brett.
Good afternoon. My name is Brent Locke. I'm a 68-year-old student at CCSF. I was born and raised in San Francisco and have been a resident in San Francisco the vast majority of my life. I started taking Cantonese a full year ago, primarily to better communicate with my aging 92-year-old Cantonese speaking mother. Along with the rest of us, she was in lockdown at the time, but in her case, all alone in her studio apartment, and her health was declining. I treasured our remaining time together and wanted to enrich it for her, especially given the isolation that comes with lockdowns. Unexpectedly, she was thrilled I was taking Cantonese and thrived on helping me with my home classwork. She helped me right up to the end. Unfortunately, she passed away on December 15th, same day as my Cantonese final. These memories have been enough incentive for me to continue to take Cantonese even after her passing. As strong-willed as she was, she would have insisted on it. I urge the CCSF board to endorse Trustee Alan Wong's proposed resolution on Cantonese teaching at CCSF. Thank you for letting me speak to you today.
Thank you. Next is Julia Kwan.
Hi, I'm here. My name is Julia Kwan, and I was born and raised in San Francisco. I am currently a Cantonese student at CCSF, one of the student leaders of Save Cantonese at CCSF. I'm the postpartum doula lead at San Francisco General Hospital and reproductive health counselor at Huckleberry Youth Programs. I urge you to pass the resolution to support the establishment of higher education Cantonese programs. As a child of immigrants, I never learned Cantonese formally. All I knew was how to order food. Cantonese classes at CCSF have allowed me to connect with patients conversations on a deeper level. For example, postpartum depression in Chinese American families is highly misunderstood. Being able to ask mothers and families how they are doing what they need in Cantonese has allowed me to give culturally inclusive, competent care. Taking Cantonese classes at CCSF has transformed my professional and personal life. I've also strengthened with monolingual Cantonese speaking elders in my life. I joined my community in demanding that CCSF ensure that Cantonese remains a priority for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Paul Kwan.
Linda, I do not see Paul on now.
Okay, then let's go on to Rosa Kwan.
You see Rosa.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, hi. My name is Rosa. I lived in San Francisco for over 40 years. I was born in Hong Kong, so I'm a proud Hong Konger. Majority of my time, I did grow up in Chinatown, so my main languages were Cantonese and English. I did attend CCSF. I just recently encountered a situation where a Cantonese elderly woman only spoke Cantonese, and we had police officers come and nobody could help her. Finally, we did have a Cantonese police officer come, and that just shows how important that we need to keep the Cantonese language. Majority of San Francisco people do speak Cantonese, the Asian community. I please pass a resolution to support to save the Cantonese as CCSF. Cantonese is a very important language, not only to me, but to so many hundreds and hundreds of people. Thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate if you could pass this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we've located Paul Kwan. We're going to call him again.
Hello, hi there. This is Paul Kwan talking. I just wanted to say that my family and I immigrated to the city of San Francisco back in the year 1970. I actually went to City College of San Francisco after graduating from George Washington High School. And then I went to City College of San Francisco and earned an AA degree. And with that, I transferred to SF State and majored in business. I currently work for the California Public Utilities as a state employee, and I see the urgent need for Cantonese as we try to help folks apply for home energy assistance program like CARE and the Lifeline phone line. And I see the very need for helping people to translate, to fill out the forms. So I urge you to pass a resolution to support the establishment of higher education Cantonese program at City College of San Francisco. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Brian Kwan.
Hi, my name is Brian Kwan. I'm a Richmond District resident, SF native. I'm also a board member of the Chinese American Democratic Club. I'm here in support of the resolution to save Cantonese because we are at an inflection point with our generational transfer of knowledge and culture, especially as Asian hate is growing. Policies like this support the ability for younger people to reconnect with their older generations and learn a lot of that history, knowledge, and cultural continuity that would be lost if they could no longer speak to their elders. We need to support policies like this because that's how we continue to grow the community. Policies that make it harder will choke off the ability to transfer a lot of this knowledge as a lot of older generations pass on. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Daniel Zen.
Linda, I do not see Daniel on.
Okay, then Steve Mazala.
I do see Steve.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephen Masliak. I'm a current City College student taking classes in the Conversational Cantonese series, and I'm also a supporter of the movement to save Cantonese at CCSF, and I urge you to pass this resolution. As a resident of San Francisco, I encounter Cantonese being spoken on the street and in businesses quite frequently, since Cantonese is the most spoken Chinese language in San Francisco. For adult members of the public who wish to learn the language, there are very few resources available, with many of the courses online and in universities taught in Mandarin. So when looking for resources to learn Cantonese, the conversational Cantonese classes offered by CCSF were some of the only ones available. While it's great that CCSF offers these classes, some are only offered once a year, and there's not yet a Cantonese certificate program. I believe Cantonese curriculum at CCSF is not getting the attention it deserves, and that's why I'm supporting the resolution and hope you all do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Amy Nguyen.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Okay. So my name is Amy Nguyen, and I am a current student at City College of San Francisco. I'm a member and a supporter of the movement of Save Cantonese at CCSF. Having the opportunity to learn Cantonese through City College SS has helped me significantly in my job. Working in the medical field for 12 years, I have seen countless times when Chinese patients who don't speak English get confused and lost in the healthcare system due to a language barrier. By taking these Cantonese classes at City College, it has given me the ability to assist the Chinese patients with basic communications and direct them correctly so that they can receive the care that they need. Learning Cantonese also allowed me the opportunity to communicate with my Chinese in-laws who only speak and understand Cantonese. The Cantonese class helped aid in closing that language barrier that our family suffered for countless years and has brought our family closer together. I can't begin to explain to you how learning Cantonese language has made such an impact in my life, and I urge you to pass the resolution to support the establishment of higher education for Cantonese program. Thank you for your time and consideration to this matter.
Thank you. Next is Courtney Yoon.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Great. Hi, my name is Courtney Jung. I was born and raised in San Francisco, and I live in the Sunset. I'm a realtor in the city. I'm a former CCSF student and a graduate of SF State. I'm a supporter of the movement to save Cantonese at CCSF because so many of our city's population speak Cantonese as their first and only language, and it's crucial, sometimes literally life or death, that first responders are able to communicate with them. I have a lot of personal experience with calling 911. My grandfather suffered from kidney failure and had 14 diabetic comas in 1 year alone. Every time this happened, it was critical that he be treated within the hour. Luckily, I was there to call 911 every time, but had I not been, my grandmother, who only spoke Cantonese, would have not been able to communicate with the EMTs, and my grandfather's life would have very well been cut short because of the language barrier. This is why I strongly urge you to pass the resolution to support the establishment of higher education in Cantonese programs. I join in my community in demanding that CCSF ensure that Cantonese remains a priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sally Chen.
Good afternoon, Board of Trustees. My name is Sally Chen, and I'm the Education Equity Program Manager at Chinese for Affirmative Action, a community organization based in San Francisco. CCSF is a hub for free and affordable adult education for San Franciscans, including opportunities like the Cantonese language classes that are critical for community workers and interpreters serving limited English proficient individuals. In the 2021 Annual Language Access Compliance Report, there were 659,184 limited English proficient client interactions across all city departments. And of those, a plurality of interactions were in Cantonese. However, bilingual public staffing for Cantonese has decreased by 45% over the past 5 years. Access to Cantonese language training is vital for our city's services. I represent my organization and join Save Cantonese at CCSF in urging the board to pass a resolution to prioritize Cantonese language resources for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jaslyn O'Reilly.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Jaslyn O'Reilly. I'm a resident of San Francisco, student of City College, and supporter of the movement to save Cantonese at City College. I was first inspired to learn Cantonese after moving to San Francisco. Although I'd spent many years learning Mandarin, I saw that Cantonese is the language of the local Chinese community, a community that is such a central part of San Francisco's past and present. I was further inspired to learn when I started volunteering with Meals on Wheels in San Francisco, as the majority of the clients I worked with were elderly Cantonese speakers who were not able to speak English. As a result, I started studying Cantonese at City College in 2020, and after taking 2 classes so far, I've been able to better create personal connections with the elderly Chinese clients I deliver to, as well as help connect more people with these essential food services. I plan to continue taking Cantonese at City College so I can expand my ability to connect with and help those in our community, especially those that are most vulnerable. I urge you to pass this resolution and ensure that Cantonese remains a priority in our local community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Johnny Bone.
Linda, I do not see Johnny on.
Okay, Douglas Mott.
I do see Douglas.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Doug May, and I'm a firefighter paramedic for San Francisco Fire Department and a board member of the Asian Firefighters Association. I'm here to provide my support for the resolution to save the Cantonese language program at City College. So my family immigrated to the US when I was 5 years old, and I grew up in the streets of San Francisco Chinatown. And I'm here to emphasize the importance of preserving the Cantonese classes in City College. Working as a first responder in such a diverse city, especially having the honor to work in Chinatown and understanding its unique culture, I know firsthand the importance of being able to communicate with people during times of emergency. So often, many Chinese immigrants do not feel comfortable calling 911 for help because of their inability to communicate due to the language barrier, regardless of how severe their emergency may be. I cannot remember a day when I responded to emergency calls in Chinatown community where I show up, introduce myself, and communicate in Chinese and see the instant relief in their faces, just knowing they can communicate with someone who is there to help during their most vulnerable moments. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Donna Ma.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
My name's Donna Ma, and I grew up and currently live in SF, and I'm a part-time student at City College. I support the Safe Cantonese at CCSF movement, and I'm actively involved in community orgs that engage with Cantonese-speaking residents. From a very young age, I've been translating for my parents, and it's both a joy in being able to take pride in and live in both worlds, Chinese and American, and a burden in the friction of the role reversal of a parent needing help from a child to navigate a new culture and country. Growing up, I viewed my parents' lack of English language skills as a flaw that I never consented to be the mediator or fixer of. As an adult, I see that what I considered a burden was in actuality a lack of our systems to meet the language access needs of my community. City College grads predominantly find employment in the SF Bay Area, ranging from emergency and social services, healthcare, and many others. CCSF's Cantonese language programs will make sure families like mine feel seen and heard. I join my community in demanding that CCSF ensure that Cantonese remains a priority in the curriculum. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Next is Joanne Fung.
Linda, I do not see Joanne on.
Okay, Genevieve Lung.
I do not see Genevieve either.
Chester Lung.
I do see Chester.
Thank you.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, board members. My name is Chester Leung, and I'm a student at City College and a member of Safe Cantonese at CCSF. I urge you to pass a resolution to support the establishment of higher education Cantonese programs. Cantonese is fundamental to my life and my community. As a second-generation Chinese American, I serve as a bridge for the older generation in my family to the broader American society. Like many children of new immigrants, it was up to us to translate some of the complicated parts of American life, like navigating the healthcare industry and accessing services. But there's a more human element as well. I love sharing unique cultural concepts about America with my grandparents and parents, things like how elections work and the grandeur of our national parks. This connection has helped them feel a belonging in this nation. These classes have improved my ability to translate these things to my family. I join my community and Save Cantonese at CCSF in demanding Cantonese remains a priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Myron Lee.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, sorry about that. Hi, I'm Myron Lee. I'm a native San Franciscan and proud Cantonese American. I've taken Cantonese classes at CCSF and UC Davis back when Davis had Cantonese classes to improve communications with my immigrant parents, relatives, and community. I regularly volunteer in Chinatown, and without these classes, I would not be able to help the community as much as I do now. We need to not only maintain, but expand the current Cantonese offerings at CCSF to ensure that future generations of American-born Chinese like myself and others who want to learn the language are able to. It is also critical that first responders who want to learn Cantonese have access to formal classes to ensure that they are able to communicate with monolingual members of our community who need help. Over 70 million people worldwide speak Cantonese as their native language, and it is the lingua franca in SF Chinatown and multiple other Chinatowns in the city. I implore you to vote in support of Trustee Wong's resolution. Thank you for your support, or as they say in Cantonese, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Hanley Chan.
Linda, I do not see Hanley on.
Okay, Hudson Lau.
I do see Hudson.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Hudson, a San Francisco-born native and founder of a grassroots nonprofit called Asians Are Strong, dedicated to protecting our communities. I urge this committee to recognize that this is not a budget decision. It is a decision that will directly impact the lives and safety of the Chinese population in San Francisco, especially right now. You have already heard the testimony regarding victim support. Human rights should not be dictated by the language they speak. I have also witnessed the positive power of language. We teach self-defense classes in Chinese to our Chinese elders. Speaking to them in their native language is more empowering than any technique I can possibly teach them. We all know knowledge is power, and with great power comes great responsibility. And as educators, you have the responsibility and ability to protect the Chinese and Asian community in San Francisco today. I implore you to protect and expand our Cantonese and Chinese speaking classes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Lauren Chin.
Hi. There's nowhere on the agenda that says public comment is limited to 30 minutes, and it's total BS that you won't let me play the recordings of 21 people who can't be here because they're working in the middle of the weekday. If more than 30 people want to speak, they should be able to. Anyway, my name is Lauren Chin, or Chun Lai King. I'm a current City College student, Chinatown resident, and a leader of the Save Cantonese at CCSF team. Growing up as a fifth-generation Chinese-American San Franciscan, I was never given the opportunity to learn my family's ancestral language of Cantonese. My parents could only understand and not speak it, and my grandparents could speak it but preferred English. I decided to take Cantonese classes at City College as an adult as a way for me to reconnect with my roots, and it also happened to coincide with me moving to Chinatown. The Cantonese I've learned from my CCSF classes has enabled me to get many Cantonese-speaking Chinatown SRO residents counted in the 2020 census and support in volunteering at a COVID-19 vaccination clinic at Chinese Hospital last year, where the vast majority of people served were Cantonese speakers. We would not have been able to vaccinate hundreds of people per day at this clinic without the many Cantonese-speaking volunteers like me. I've also loved forming relationships with my Cantonese-speaking neighbors and people who work in my building, and in my current job working at Target at the Metreon. I'm able to help translate for the many Cantonese-speaking guests that come through. I join my community in demanding that CCSF ensure that Cantonese remains a priority for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Leland Young.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Leland Jung. I'm representing the Chinese American Democratic Club, and we fully support Alan Wong's resolution to strengthen and expand the Cantonese program. I'm also the chairperson of the club's City College Committee and have been a recent student there and also a continuing student. Many of our members have taken Cantonese classes at City College, including the president of the club, Bayard Fong, his son, and myself. The classes have helped us in our careers and communicating with our family and community. Eric Chin, our club's vice president and former Board of Education Commissioner, reported the San Francisco Unified School District determined an urgent need for Cantonese speakers for teaching, counseling, and other vital professions. We understand the importance of the program and are united in supporting it. There is an urgent need for Cantonese speakers. On May the 28th, Jean Fung, a Cantonese speaker 84-year-old woman was walking on San Francisco Highway and was found dead later. If we had Cantonese speakers, she may have been alive now. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Next is Catherine Ma.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Catherine Ma. I'm a current student at CCSF in the Diagnostic Medical Imaging Program. I have volunteered and worked at several of the hospitals in one way or another. And I've spoken to a lot of the full-time employees there, and there is a great need for Cantonese speakers. And at this point, I would like CCSF to expand their program past the conversational Cantonese and possibly into interpretership, because there is a great need for that. I have lived in the city for about 7 years. I was born and raised in New York City, and there is a great need for Cantonese in general at this point. And I'm sad to say that because there is a lack of education for Cantonese, my brother and my younger sister both have lost the ability to speak those languages and only speak Mandarin now. So I would suggest to CCSF to try to expand their program for the need of not only the community, but also for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Samantha Lee.
Linda, I do not see Samantha on.
Okay, Edward Fung.
I do not see Edward either.
Okay, Jonathan Sill.
I do see Jonathan. I see two Jonathans.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. My name is Jonathan Sid. I was born and raised in San Francisco, and I'm a CCSF alumni. I help lead a daily nonviolent citizen patrol in SF Chinatown. There was an instance where we saw EMTs standing around outside an elderly woman's building, not helping. I decided to intervene and offered to translate. I found that she only spoke Cantonese, and the EMT's translator was unreachable, so there was no way for them to communicate with her. This tiny elderly woman was panicked, confused, and full of fear, repeatedly asking why the EMTs were not taking her husband to the hospital. Although it was painful, I had to translate on behalf of the EMTs that her husband had unfortunately passed away of natural causes. Without our community's ability to translate Cantonese, this grandma would have been even more confused, scared, and alone. With no way of accessing aid from our first responders, I joined my community and Save Cantonese at CCSF in demanding this board that you pass the resolution to support the establishment of higher education Cantonese programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Harry Bernstein.
Linda, I do not see Harry on right now.
Okay, Victoria Ng.
I do see Victoria.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Victoria Ng. I was a CCSF student. I took Cantonese A, B, and C and have not taken D because it has not been offered, and I'm an SF resident. I urge you to pass the resolution to support the establishment of higher education Cantonese programs. I feel like I'm kind of echoing a lot of what other people have said. A moment that really sat with me that inspired me to take Cantonese was when an elderly woman asked me in Golden Gate Park for directions, and I understood enough to know what she was saying, but I couldn't tell her which bus to get on, even though I knew, and I felt so helpless in that moment. And I think I was so excited and so happy that CCSF has had Cantonese classes, and it really changed my life and opened up a door for me to connect to my past, to my family, and to our neighborhood and the community. And I think that's so powerful. And I think it would make a great difference in the city if we could keep these classes. Thanks.
Thank you. Alexander Tan.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Hello, my name is Alexander Tan. I was a CCSF student before transferring to a four-year university, and I'm a native San Franciscan. I'm speaking in support of the movement to save Cantonese at CCSF. I grew up speaking Cantonese as a means to communicate with my parents, who are first-generation Chinese Americans. Being able to speak Cantonese with my parents has allowed me to connect with them and also preserve my culture. There have also been times where Being able to speak and understand the language has helped me at work and serve the needs of my community. Keeping these courses available to keep the language alive and serve the Cantonese speaking and Cantonese only speaking communities of San Francisco is really important. I urge you to pass the resolution to support the establishment of higher education Cantonese programs. These courses need to remain and expand. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes public comment. And as I mentioned, we'll be forwarding the recorded comments to the trustees.
Yes, thank you so much, Linda and Sean, for managing public comment. And thank you so much to all of our public commenters who showed up today. I do want to state that our board has all agreed to co-sponsor this resolution, and there is a clear commitment to Cantonese programs at City College. At this time, I'm going to turn it back to Trustee Wong to close us out, and then we will go to a vote on this resolution. Trustee Wong.
Thank you. I like to thank all the organizations that have stepped up to support the Cantonese program. So Chinese Hospital, Northeast Medical Services, Richmond Area Multi-Services, Self-Help for the Elderly, Community Youth Center, Cameron House, SF Youth Commission, SF Domestic Violence Consortium, Gamun Asian Women's Resource Center, Charity Cultural Services Center, APA Family Support Services, Chinatown Community Children's Center, Chinese Newcomer Service Center, API Legal Outreach, Chinese Progressive Association, Chinese for Affirmative Action, OCA Asian Pacific American Advocates, Chinese Chamber of Commerce, SF Cause, Chinese Historical Society of America, Revive Chinatown SF, Chinatown Rotary Club, Tenderloin Chinese Rights Association, Hong Kong Club of Northern California, Hong Kong Association Northern California, Chinese American Democrat Club, SF Bernie Kratz, Asian Pacific American Heritage Foundation, Stand with Asian Americans, Stand with Asians, Lee Family Benevolent Association, Be Chinatown, Northeast Community Federal Credit Union, Delta Chinatown Initiative, Chinese American Voter Education Committee, America Gongzhou Alumni Association, Chinatown Volunteer Coalition, and finally, the students at Save Cantonese at CCSF. I'd like to conclude by, again, stating that, for me, this is not just about protecting Chinese culture and history, but about the very practical implications of ensuring that our large Chinese community in San Francisco has access to public safety, healthcare, and social services. Potential loss of this program would be devastating to the Chinese community, and that's why I'm here fighting for this. I'm fighting for people like my parents, my grandparents, and others that need to be able to communicate when they're asking for help. I would like to move that we vote on this resolution and support it.
All right, thank you, Trustee Wong. So it's been moved by Trustee Wong. Is there a second? And then I'm going to turn it to Chancellor Martin. Is there a second?
Second.
I guess I'll give it to Vice President Temprano. So it's been moved by Trustee Wong, seconded by Vice President Temprano. I'm going to turn it over to Chancellor Martin to discuss how the administration will move forward this resolution. Thank you.
Yes, President Williams, and thank you, Trustee Wong, and thank you, trustees, for considering and proposing a wonderfully written and very productive resolution. We look forward to, depending on the outcome of the action here in the next couple of minutes, to working diligently with our faculty and our academic senate, as well as our transfer partners in finding ways to explore new opportunities to grow Cantonese opportunities with classes and programs and pathways. We will be in contact with our San Francisco State University partners, as well as other four-year partners within the state, to make sure they're aware of the action that the board is about to take, but also offer our hand in partnerships to find ways to develop, to grow, and to enhance the experience of not only our students, but wherever they may go. We can start that process here at City College, and I am fortunate to be in a position to help move this forward, and thank you for the opportunity to do so, and I'll pass it back to President Williams.
Thank you so much, Chancellor Martin, for your commitment to this issue. And just want to also state that we did take all of our public commenters who submitted today. So again, thank you to all of our public commenters, and the trustees will be viewing the videos that folks submitted. So just want to thank all of the folks that Trustee Wong listed and all of your advocacy. It's really inspiring, and definitely there's a commitment from City College of San Francisco. If there's no further comments or questions on the resolution, we're actually gonna take a roll call vote on the resolution. Yes, but we gotta do a roll call. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, President Williams. President Williams.
Aye.
Wait, aren't we starting with?
Well, roll call.
Vice President Temprano.
Aye.
Trustee Chisti.
Aye.
Trustee Davila.
Aye.
Trustee Rizzo, I believe, is absent. Trustee Selby. Not present. Trustee Wong.
Aye.
And I apologize to student trustee Molinari. I should have taken your advisory vote first, but I will ask for it now.
Aye.
Thank you. It's unanimous.
Wonderful, so unanimous. Thank you, Trustee Wong, for submitting the resolution, and I'm looking forward to seeing our work on this issue. At this time, trustees, we are concluded for the day, and Dr. Benjamin didn't get to kind of say goodbye, but just want to thank Dr. Benjamin for again hosting an amazing retreat, facilitating an amazing retreat with us, and was one of the smoothest retreats that I have seen in terms of our board goals and some of the other things we did today. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Davila. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Chisti. Any further discussion on adjournment? All right, hearing none, we'll go to our student trustee for advisory vote.
Aye.
Everyone else, all in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Don't think so. All right, with that, trustees, thank you for being here today, and we are adjourned at 3:01 p.m. Bye, everyone. Thank you.